Okay, so let's start at the beginning with A. A is for attitude. Now, as a single person, your attitude towards your singleness is going to be displayed. Whether you're intentionally displaying it or not, it is going to come across. It really is. One of the things I found, and of course these segments can't be too long, so I'm going to keep them brief, but I'll discuss with you or share with you two different types of singles that I come across most often. There's the sit back single. You all know the scripture, he who finds a wife. And so she sits back and he must do the searching, and that's the whole approach to it all. Now, I find that in the 20s and maybe 30s that a lot of people, especially a lot of women, will hold fast to that and will be waiting to be found and making themselves somewhat available, i.e. going to work and going to church and maybe going to the gym. But beyond that, they're not going to be active about trying to find someone or meet someone or just being in circles with other people. And then what you find is as people move into their late 30s, 40s, 50s, is there becomes a bit more intention around meeting someone, because suddenly your options are narrowing down and suddenly that which you thought would automatically happen hasn't done. And so now you're thinking, I need to do something about this, and have I got it wrong, and have I wasted all of this time? And then you find that the type of single moves into more intentional now. And to be honest, wisdom says, do that. Be more intentional, because if you're just going to hang around waiting for it to happen and seeing all those around you moving on or getting married or moving on in their singleness or doing whatever it is that they're doing right now, but you're in a place where you're not content with where you are, then you do need to be more intentional. And think of it a bit like a job or anything that you want to progress with in life. Do you just sit back and hope to be headhunted, or do you actively seek work? If you're in the simplest form, if you're hungry, do you sit on your sofa and hope that someone will deliver you some food, or do you make a meal? Or even, just pick up the phone and order a takeaway. But you have to do something about it. Now, in singleness, my view is that without finding a good balance, without going out there and advertising to the whole world and literally walking along with a placard saying I'm single and I don't want to be, I do think you need to be quite active and place yourself in positions to be found. Now, we've got a whole alphabet to go through, so I'm not going to go too deep into this one, but the whole focus of this segment is having the right attitude. Now, your attitude towards your singleness is going to be your selling point to others. So even as a female, I can sit and have a conversation with somebody who's single, and quite often I can see fairly quickly why they might be. And that may sound offensive to some people, but if I meet a single person, and I'm sure most of us have come across at least one person like this, who is single but is quite upset about it or angry about it, and their whole attitude when you even mention the word relationship is either negative or cynical, or the neck starts flexing, or they're not necessarily curious or wanting to learn. They have such strong opinions about it all that they're putting that across, and it can be very off-putting, even for someone of the same gender who's speaking to you. So imagine if as a female you're coming across with these really strong views and negative attitudes and a very cynical outlook on the whole subject, and you're speaking to somebody of the opposite sex. Can you imagine what that person must be thinking? And to be honest, as much as it seems like there aren't many single people around, especially women often say there's not many single guys around, there are single people out there, and so they will move on. They'll move on and find someone who doesn't have that approach or that attitude. Whereas if you're the opposite, the very opposite end of someone who's very quiet, very shy and very withdrawn, doesn't have much to say, how easy is it to have a conversation with you? How easy is it to be approached and hope that those first few moments, that first 30 seconds or 60 seconds won't be so awkward that it's like pulling teeth? So how do you find yourself somewhere in the middle? Well, I'm hoping that each of you has at least one friend around you that you trust to be open and honest, And whether that friend is also single, or whether they're married or in a relationship, or have lots of experience in relationships, whatever it might be, choose someone that you feel will be honest with you, but in love. You know, they won't just tear you down, but they'll say, look, if I met you for the first time, and I'm not talking about a date, I'm talking about just from across the room or in an initial conversation, what would your first impression of me be?